Shalom, brothers and sisters. I am going to start our next series of the BYNV, Aster or Esther, Hadassah, and it says myrtle next to Hadassah, and it says for Aster, Ishtar, Astara, Satara, and Star, the meanings of it. Okay, I'm going to start with 1. Okay. And it came to be in the Yomim, or the days, of Akasharush. He is the Akasharush who reigned from India to Kush, 127 provinces. In those Yomim, or those days, when sovereign Akasharush sat on the throne of his reign, which was in the citadel of Shushan, that in the 3rd year of his reign he made a feast for all his officials and servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces were before him. When he showed the riches of his esteemed reign and the splendor of his excellent greatness, for many Yomim, 180 Yomim, 6 months show or fair. And when these Yomim, or days, were completed, the sovereign made a feast lasting 7 Yomim, or 7 days, for all the people who were present in the citadel of Shushan, from great to small. In the courtyard of the garden of the sovereign's palace, white and blue tapestries were fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple on silver rods and marble columns. The couches were of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of porphyry marble and mother of pearl and black marble. And they served drinks in golden vessels, the vessels being different from one another, with much royal wine, according to the hand of the sovereign, or the ruler. And drinking was according to the law. No one was compelled, for so the sovereign had ordered all the officers of his house that they should perform to each one's pleasure. Sovereigness Vashti also made a feast for the women in the royal palace, which sovereign Akasharush owned. On the 7th day, or the 7th Yom, when the heart of the sovereign was glad with wine, he ordered Mehuman, Biztha, Carbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcas, the 7 eunuchs, who were in attendance in the presence of sovereign, or the ruler Akasharush, to bring sovereigness Vashti before the sovereign, with her royal crown, in order to show her loveliness to the people and the officials, for she was lovely to look upon. She was beautiful. But sovereigness Vashti refused to come at the sovereign's command, brought by his eunuchs. And the sovereign was very wroth, and his rage burned within him. So the sovereign said to the wise men who understood the times, for in this way the sovereign's matter came before all who knew law and right ruling, and who were close to him, Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Maris, Marcina, Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, who saw the sovereign's face, who sat first in the reign. According to law, what is to be done to sovereigness Vashti, because she did not perform the command of sovereigness Akasharush through the eunuchs. And Memucan answered before the sovereign and the princes, Sovereigness Vashti has misbehaved, not only toward the sovereign, but also toward all the princes, and all the people who are in all the provinces of sovereign Akasharush. For the matter of the sovereigness shall go forth to all women, to make their husbands despised in their eyes, when they say, Sovereign Akasharush commanded sovereigness Vashti to be brought in before him, but she did not come. And this day, and this Yom, the princesses of Persia and Media shall say to all the sovereign's officials that they have heard of the matter of the sovereigness with plenty of scorn and wrath. If it pleases the sovereign or the ruler, let a royal decree go out for him, and let it be recorded in the laws of the Persians and the Medes, so that it does not pass away, that Vashti shall come no more before sovereign Ahasuerus, and let the sovereign give her royal position to another who is better than she. Oops. Okay, I'll have to put a different one on. Okay. And the sovereign's decree, which he makes, shall be proclaimed throughout all his rule, great as it is. And all the wives give esteem to their husbands, both great and small, and the word was good in the eyes of the sovereign and the princes, and the sovereign did according to the word of Memucan. So he sent letters to all the sovereigns, all the rulers, provinces, to each province in its own writing, and to every people in their own language, that each man should be master in his own house, and speak in the language of his people. Okay. And I'll move on to part 2 of our series, our next series for today too. Okay. After these events, when the wrath of sovereign Ahasuerus had ceased, he remembered Vashti, what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. Then the sovereign's servants who attended him said, "Let lovely young maidens be sought for the sovereign, and let the sovereign appoint officers in all the provinces of his reign, and let them gather all the lovely young maidens to the citadel of Shushan, into the women's quarters, under the hand of Haggai, the sovereign's eunuch, guardian of the women, to give their preparations. And let the young Asha, or wife, who pleases the sovereign, be sovereigness instead of Vashti." He's trying to replace the sovereigness, or the queen. And the word pleased the sovereign, and he did so. In the citadel of Shushan there was a certain man, a Yehudi, whose name was Mordecai, son of Yair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been exiled from Jerusalem with the captives who had been exiled with Jeconiah, sovereign of Yehuda, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, had exiled. And it came to be that he was raising Hadassah, that is Aster, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. The young Asha, or wife, was lovely and of good appearance. And when her father and mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. Mordecai was Hadassah's cousin. And it came to be, when the sovereign's command and decree were heard, and when many young women were gathered at the citadel of Shushan into the hand of Haggai, that Aster too was taken to the sovereign's palace, into the hand of Haggai, guardian of the women. And the young Asha pleased him, and she received kindness from him. So he hastened to give her preparations and her portions, and gave her 7 choice female servants from the sovereign's palace. And he moved her and her female servants to the best in the house of the women. Esther had not made known her people or her relatives, for Mordecai had commanded her not to make it known. And every yom, or day, Mordecai walked about in front of the courtyard of the women's quarters to learn of Esther's welfare, her well-being, and what is done to her. Now when the turn of each young Asha, or wife, came to go into the sovereign Ahasuerus, after she had completed 12 months according to the regulations for the women, for the yomim, or the days of their preparation, were completed as follows: 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes, and with the preparations of women. Thus prepared the women. The young Asha, or young wife, went to the sovereign, and whatever she asked for was given to take with her from the house of the women to the sovereign's palace. In the evening she went, and in the morning she returned to the second house of the women, into the hand of Shashgaz, the sovereign's eunuch, guardian of the concubines. She would not come into the sovereign. She would not come into the sovereign again unless the sovereign delighted in her and called for her by name. And when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter to come into the sovereign, she sought no matter but what Haggai, the sovereign's eunuch, guardian of the women, advised, and Aster found favor in the eyes of all who saw her. And Aster was taken to sovereign Ahasuerus into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the sovereign loved Aster more than all the women, and she found favor and kindness in his eyes more than all the maidens. And he set the royal crown upon her head and made her sovereigness instead of Vashti. And the sovereign made a great feast, and the feast of Esther, for all his officials and servants. And he proclaimed a release in the provinces and gave gifts according to the means of a sovereign. And when the maidens were assembled a second time, Mordecai sat within the sovereign's gate. Esther had not made known her relatives and her people yet, as Mordecai ordered her, for Aster obeyed the command of Mordecai as when she was being raised by him. In those yomim, or those days, while Mordecai sat within the sovereign's gate, 2 of the sovereign's eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, doorkeepers, were wroth and sought to lay hands on sovereign Ahasuerus. And the matter became known to Mordecai, who informed sovereigness Aster, and Aster spoke to the sovereign in Mordecai's name. And when the matter was searched into, it was confirmed, and both were impaled on a stake. And it was written in the book of the annals in the presence of the sovereign. So they were killed. But I wanted to finish at least two sections of our, or 2 chapters of our series for the BYNV today. I marked our page. Our page is marked on the bottom. And I can show you guys the cover again. This is the book I would recommend to anybody that is new to the truth or is just learning about Yahuwah. I figured I would teach you guys on here, and I might make another video later on reading one of Lou White's books. You guys, I hope you guys have a blessed week. All praises to the Most High Yahuwah, and I pray that everyone has a blessed week and everyone is safe and warm, and I hope and pray that nobody slips and falls this week. I've already slipped and fell once this winter, and it wasn't fun. So, shalom, brothers and sisters. Bye-bye.